Hey there, friends. Welcome back to As a Man Thinketh on Yanasa TV. It has been a while since I've been on here. Some people were asking me, when are you going to get back to your normal videos? Truth is, when my life gets back to normal, I'll get back to my normal videos. But no, guys, I appreciate all of your support in what we've been doing with the Helene Farm Relief Fund. I think it was a pretty good success. Now that we have requests coming in, it makes me wonder how far it will go. But you know, when I put my mind to something, I want to make sure that it is a success. So that's what I have been focusing on. That being said, I have been paying attention to a bit of the things going on in the news lately. But I have been trying to fill my life a little more around this time of year with helping others. We just got back from the mountains, delivering toys and food, and I really enjoy doing that kind of stuff. It's a lot of fun. But anyway, back to normal, back to some of the topics of the day. I've had a lot of people asking me what my thoughts are on the drone situation. I don't know if I'm qualified to answer this question, but I'm going to give you my 2 cents on what's going on, because some of what I've been hearing is absolutely ridiculous.
Former Governor Larry Hogan shot this video last night. These lights over his hometown in Davidsonville, just 25 miles from the nation's capital, as he pointed out. And then there's this.
I've never seen that before.
Wow, they just passed each other.
Yeah, I've never seen that before.
New Jersey Senator Andy Kim shared this video of drones he shot yesterday. Federal authorities insist most of these sightings are actually legally manned aircraft. But Senator Kim says he checked a flight tracker app while capturing this video, and that the devices he was capturing were not on it.
So these drone sightings have been happening not on the East Coast. They've actually been happening in California as well. There are over 6 states with confirmed drone sightings. And something you have to remember is that these drones are pretty big. A lot of them are 6 feet in diameter. They've actually, there was a report. So this officer, a local law enforcement officer, saw 50 drones from the coast. They reached out, they contacted everybody that they could. Coast Guard went out, got followed by 13 of these drones. Coast Guard got a pretty good idea of how big and sophisticated these drones are. They sent up one of their own drones, which is a military-grade drone, to try and get information on the other drones, and they completely evaded their drone.
The department says these mystery drones evade detection because they don't give off heat like regular drones.
Why do you think that is?
We don't know. It's just something that we haven't, it's not something that we've had our hands on. It's not something that we've experienced.
Something they hadn't experienced until now. One of their officers called 911 after seeing 50 of them come off the ocean.
Advised after we made contact with that officer that there were 50 that came off the ocean.
50?
50. That was my reaction also. There were 50 that were coming off the ocean.
And this is a sworn officer?
A sworn officer, yes. We contacted state police, we contacted the FBI, we contacted the Coast Guard, at which point the Coast Guard went out with their boat and they reported seeing 13 following their boat. And then the Coast Guard also advised that they went over them about 300 feet and had a wingspan of about 8 feet.
I see one right here.
Did I see the same thing that officer saw? I'm still not sure. What I can show you is this video. What I can tell you is I've never seen anything like it before.
Wow.
In more than a month since these reports started, the federal government doesn't know what they are either.
And in my opinion, the federal government is playing dummy. I think that we would have to be dummies to actually think that our federal government has no clue of what's going on with these drones.
They are 100% acting like they don't know what these drones,
But they are.
UAPs, UAVs, different names they use for them, unidentified flying objects, unidentified phenomenon, unidentified vehicles, unidentified aerial vehicles, on and on.
But they are. But
there is no doubt that this is government and private corporations. There's no doubt that 99% of it is man-made. There's some stuff that can't be explained, but that's not what's going on right now. I know exactly what they're doing. I know who the players are. I know what the different scenarios are. I know what the different agendas are. I understand the globalists, when they roll something out, they only push it if it helps every one of their agendas, and this doesn't. We know exactly what they're doing.
When we look through stories like this and we're trying to get down to the bottom of it, I think we have to separate fact from fiction, and anything that is not guaranteed fact, we need to question 100% until we find an answer to it. That's how you get to the bottom of this stuff. If you remember, back in 2020, we never actually got to the bottom of what was going on with those drones flying out over the West. This is a very similar scenario. The drone descriptions are very similar. They're not detectable. A lot of them are flying at night with their lights off. And that's, somebody brought this up. They thought it had something to do with the current House bill that's coming out. It's kind of an Orwellian bill that would basically limit drone flights across the U.S. It already has. I mean, this is a renewal of a 2018 bill. But we've had this drone situation now. We've had the drone situation in 2020. I can guarantee you that whatever is controlling these drones does not give a damn about some congressional bill. All that bill does is it taxes videographers, farmers, other people who are flying drones for professional reasons or for recreational reasons. It keeps track of everything that you're doing. But it doesn't actually stop illegal activity.
The FAA has already imposed no-fly zones. The drones are still in the air. Nothing is being done. How would what you're calling for change the situation? Obviously, whoever is putting these drones in the air isn't really caring about these warnings.
Obviously, authorities don't know anything about it. They're not following FAA guidelines. They're going into airport space.
The sightings are happening near LaGuardia Airport, too. Officials say they received unconfirmed reports of drone activity over that busy airport.
Was it Newark or JFK that hit something midair? They're saying it was a bird, but it could have been a drone. I actually, from looking at the footage, it was pretty high, several hundred feet up in the air, and at night. So I was trying to think about what bird in New Jersey or in New York would be flying that high at night. Maybe a snow owl. It could have been a snow owl. They get pretty big. They're pretty big owls. So that could have been it. But to take out a plane engine, catch it on fire, I don't know, I've heard of geese doing it. So that's a complicated question. I'm not even sure if you can put that in there. But I do know that they had to ground flights at one of the airports the other day because of drone activity in a restricted zone. So whoever is flying these drones does not care about the law. Now, that could be the United States government. They seem to think they're above the law. It could be a foreign government. I don't think that this is some sort of group because I don't think that they have that sophistication. I think that this is probably a government entity of some sort because, I mean, why would those who have the sophistication, why would they do it? Like, there's no general purpose. Somebody said Bill Gates was spraying stuff. But that brings me to another thing. Is okay, one of the reports that came out over the weekend, and I found this rather interesting, even Joe Rogan was like, okay, now I'm a little bit concerned about these drones, okay? Somebody said that they believe that the drones in 2020, and this is a CEO of a drone manufacturing company, there was a TikTok video, I'm gonna play it for you guys in a second, but he basically said that he believes that in 2020 they were trying to sniff out radioactive material that had been lost out west. And there are reports of that. It could very well be true. This time around, though, he's saying that they might be trying to sniff out either a gas leak, although that's highly unlikely, or they're trying to sniff out, once again, some sort of radiation.
Hey, everyone. My name is John Ferguson. I'm the CEO of Saxon Aerospace here in Wichita, Kansas. I'm not normally a TikTok kind of a guy. I like watching this stuff every once in a while. But I'm a manufacturer of unmanned aircraft, military-grade unmanned aircraft, as you can see one of my systems here. There's all of these mysterious drones going on off the East Coast, and as a professional, as a subject matter expert, I wanted to give you all my opinion on what I think could be going on with these drones. I don't particularly believe that these have a nefarious intent. I could be wrong, but I want to give you the truth and what I believe. It's my own opinion, and I've not bounced this off of anybody. So, if you think it's bullshit, whatever, that's cool. I don't want to spread misinformation, as we know that there's a lot of that going around. But anyway, back in the 1980s, Ronald Reagan had dismantled the nuclear program, and there were, with Russia, there were countless nuclear missiles that were disarmed and disposed of. Well, there were over 80, I believe. There were over 80 nuclear warheads that were in Ukraine that came up missing. Okay, we don't know where they are. Maybe somebody does, but nobody really knows where these are. And I speak with some pretty high-level government officials on this stuff, and it seems as though that is the case. So I spoke to a gentleman a few months ago who was trying to raise an alarm to the highest levels of our government, which they had their ears closed, about this one particular nuclear warhead that he physically put his hands on. He physically touched this warhead that was left over from Ukraine. And he knew that that thing was headed towards the United States. Okay? That is a very serious deal. And everyone knows that the United States government, this administration, is pushing to get into a war with Russia. We all know that. We all feel it. We all see it. Okay? Well, back up a few years. Do y'all remember when those drones were mysteriously flying across the Interstate 70 corridor from Colorado up into Nebraska, down here into Kansas, and out into Missouri? Well, it was believed that those drones were looking for radioactive material because there had been some material that come up missing here in the United States, and they felt like it was high probability that the nuclear or the radioactive material would be taken along the Interstate 70 corridor heading east or west or south. So from what we understand, they were out there trying to find this radioactive material. Now, drones, they have no reason to be in the air at night unless you're doing some type of ISR work, intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance, looking for bad guys, or looking for a victim, a search and rescue victim, or law enforcement, or some type of military project, right? There's no reason for a drone to be flying at night, really, okay? Because they don't see shit. So, unless you have thermal optics, drones really don't see stuff. You need to do mapping during the day. If you're going to do farming stuff, you mostly do it during the day. The only reason why you would ever fly an aircraft, an unmanned aircraft at night, is if you're looking for something, whether it be a person or trying to smell gas. We have methane gas detection systems that can detect gas leaks in pipelines. You really wouldn't use thermal optics for trying to find gas leaks, just simply because the only way you're actually going to find a gas leak with thermal optics is if the gas leak is aggressive enough that it has a difference in temperature. Because thermal imaging, it creates a digital image based off of the temperature variance. So whatever is different in temperature, it creates an image. Usually gas leaks so slow that it goes quickly into ambient before you can even see it. So we have special sensors that can detect gas leaks. We also have special sensors that can detect radioactive material. So with this gentleman that I had spoken with, who was trying to raise the alarm to try to get somebody in the government to say, hey, we need to work together to go try to find this nuclear warhead, none of that ever happened. They knew that warhead was on its way to the United States. That's all that ever came of it. Nothing ever happened. This government did not do anything at all to help this gentleman raise the alarm and raise awareness that there is a very deadly weapon on its way to the United States. It's out there. Nobody knows where it's at now. It left Europe. Now it's gone. So my guess, my own guess, is that these drones are not nefarious in intent. If they are, they are, but I doubt it. But if they are drones, the only reason why they would be flying and flying that low is because they're trying to smell something on the ground. That's it. There's no other reason for a drone to be flying in the air other than to piss a bunch of people off at night. That's it. So my belief is they're trying to smell something on the ground. Gas leaks, radioactive material, whatever. So, and do I think that that they're coming up out of the ocean? No, I don't think so. Drones that are multi-copter type drones, not the the fixed wing aircraft that look like regular airplanes, but the multi-copters, they only have so much battery life. They have hybrid versions that are gas powered with electric, but those can still only fly for a short period of time. There's no way in hell that any drone is going to go miles off the coast as a multi-copter and fly into the interior of the United States and do a bunch of work and then turn around and fly back. It's just physics will not allow that to happen. So these drones, I believe, are launched from a location that nobody knows, but I do believe that they're flying low enough that they're just trying to sniff the ground and try to find something. So again, I hate to be a pessimist or a guy that thinks, directly to the negative. However, I know as a professional, we build professional stuff for the military. I believe that they're actually out there trying to smell something that's very important. So anyway, let me know what you think of this video. I'm not trying to gaslight. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm just trying to let people know that this is a serious deal. It's only serious for what the potential could be.
When this story came out, there's a website. You can see what it's called real quick. Geiger Counter World Map, or Geiger Counter World Map. And basically this website measures radiation within specific areas. And somebody had posted a picture. It's a news source that I follow. I assume maybe they had checked up on it, but I always check up on my sources myself anyway. But they had posted a picture that showed elevated radiation levels around New York at the time that this other guy was putting out this video saying that maybe these drones were trying to sniff out some sort of, nuclear waste of some sort, radiation of some sort. And so obviously I clicked on the website to see it myself. And when I got to the website was inaccessible. It was down. When it came back up about a day later, everything looked pretty normal to me. So suspicious, definitely. A little odd, the coincidence, the timing. But then again, maybe these are fear tactics, right? I heard another report, and this actually just came out yesterday. Alex Jones, as crazy as he is sometimes, there are things that I agree with him on, things that I don't agree with him on. So, I don't watch his stuff that regularly, but I watched this one because I found it fairly interesting.
December 15th, 2024, and I have completely solved the drone invasion mystery.
But he was he played another report from another ex-user who was talking about the possibility of these drones spraying something.
According to a Gates Foundation insider, these reports are on the money regarding the DoD involvement, but they don't go far enough. These drones are not simply training for future warfare or surveilling the population. The drones are spraying a concoction of chemicals on the masses, targeting urban centers and military installations, and preparing to expand their activities across the nation.
All right, listen up, because this is straight out of Jersey and it's eaten me alive. I've been working at the Gates Foundation. Yeah, that Gates Foundation, the one that acts all high and mighty about humanitarian work. Let me tell you, it's all a loadable. What I've seen there, it's enough to make your skin crawl. Those drones you keep hearing about, they ain't just flying around for kicks. This is a DOD operation, and we're in on it. They're spraying some engineered toxic cocktail over key spots on the East Coast. And let me tell you, they're gearing up to take it national. This ain't some overseas war. It's right here at home. It's warfare against the American people, plain and simple. But instead of bullets and bombs, it's silent, sneaky, and right in your face. Those chemicals, they're messing with your head, your mood, your focus. They're putting people in a fog, making them zoned out, confused, and too distracted to notice or fight back. Grocery store? Forget it. People walking around like zombies. Roads? Either they're driving like lunatics or slow as molasses. It's the same everywhere. Cities, small towns, even military bases. The excuse we get at the foundation is it's all for environmental monitoring or disease prevention. Yeah, sure. And I'm the Pope. The real deal? They're spreading a slow-acting disease and messing with your mind to create a population that's too docile to resist. I've been seeing this since 2021. It's like something flipped, and suddenly everyone's walking around like they're in a daze. I know who's behind it. And believe me, it's way bigger than you'd think. The Gates Foundation is just one piece of the puzzle, but they're neck deep in it. I tried to warn my colleagues, tried to tell them we're the bad guys in this story, but they're all in. They don't care. So now I'm speaking up because people got to know what's going on before it's too late.
And it got me to thinking, we're out there, we're looking for the drones, we're trying to figure out ways of tracking the drones. I think it's important to note that they're always saying it's local law enforcement that's investigating it. The federal government just says we don't know what it is, but you don't have to worry about it. It's fine. Perfectly fine. What doesn't make you feel comfortable in that situation is that our federal government doesn't know where these swarms of drones are coming from, and yet they're supposed to be protecting our homeland. And don't get me started on them protecting our homeland. It's all a mess. We all know that. In any case, to me, that's scarier. The fact that they're coming out and telling the public that they don't know, but don't worry about it, right? Because I guess if it was a threat, they would know about it, but they don't know anything about this situation. And we'll get back to them in a minute. But the thought that these could be drones that are spraying something. So I do think, them flying at night, they're doing something either with thermal imaging or they're doing something that is different than, the uses that you would fly a drone for during the day. There's only a few objectives that I can think of that a drone would have flying at night. And that's where we kind of have to, when it comes to fact versus fiction, that's where we kind of have to throw out some things and start focusing on, well, what pieces do we know? We know for a fact that they tend to fly at night. They like to be undetected if possible, but sometimes they fly with their lights on, but they can turn their lights off. Okay, so could they be spraying something? Has anybody on the ground, local law enforcement, federal government, anybody, tested the air, tested anything to see if there's some sort of biological weapon being spread? We're talking about over 6 states here. Highly populated areas. We all know how the last, we'll just call it the big C, we all know how that impacted society, how it even changed politics, how it created fear and reaction from the public. We just had elections. I keep saying that I think that the next time they try something, it's going to be a lot more dramatic than the time before and the time before that, because they're not winning, they're losing. And when people start losing, they get desperate. They start doing desperate things. I'm not saying that that's what it is. I'm saying it's an interesting argument. I'm not saying that they're sniffing out radiation. I'm saying it's an interesting argument. Going back to the radiation thing, there could be a very real possibility. Since the election, we have seen the U.S. and our European allies literally escalating the World War III situation, which some people say we're in it, some people say we're not in it. I'd say no matter how you look at it, it's here. This is a real situation we're seeing in real time, and we know what events escalate these types of things, and we know what, when somebody is restraining themselves, and it doesn't feel like we've been restraining ourselves. It almost feels like there's some desperation there to get things done faster before the next president takes office. Or to at least leave the next president in a more precarious situation in resolving these conflicts. And to be honest with you, I think that these are very real conflicts that we are experiencing overseas. I think that President Trump could probably delay some of that, slow it down, but ultimately, I think that they will come to a head, personally. That's just my own opinion. I think it's great that somebody is going to make an attempt to do something other than escalate it. But the reality is of that happening. I mean, these aren't our countries, right? Like, sometimes I wonder why we're even involved. Okay, they're not democracies we're dealing with. Somebody asked me why we just don't shoot them down. And number one, so you've got local law enforcement that's investigating these things. The feds really aren't doing much. I mean, and if they were to shoot something down in the sky, that's regulated by the FAA, which is a federal agency. The other problem is safety. Okay, if you shoot one of these things down, you don't know what it's carrying. You don't know if it's carrying a payload. You don't know if it's carrying biologicals. We really don't know what they're doing. Okay, so when they come down, it does create a safety issue. I think that what they need to do is track and figure out where they're coming from. I do think it's a bit odd that you had 50 of these coming in off the coast. Maybe they flew down the coast and then back in, but we would have to, if they were coming off of a ship or something else, we certainly would know about that vessel being out there in the ocean. I mean, we've tracked Russian vessels up and down our coast over the past couple of years. You typically would know, okay, there's a ship out here and there's some weird drones flying overhead. In my opinion, I think that the federal government knows exactly what is going on.
The elites have no intention of revealing the truth about the drones, even though we are gathering evidence that completely obliterates their ongoing denials about outright lies about the phenomenon. The truth is clear. The government's complicity is undeniable, and their motives for keeping us in the dark are as predictable as ever.
You're telling me we don't know what the hell these drones are in New Jersey? That's right. It's crazy going on in New Jersey.
These are not U.S. military drones. So since they won't tell you, I'll have to. DPA Title III. The DPA was revived under Trump to ensure that things like drones, technology, and medical supplies were being produced in the U.S. so that we could move away from Chinese-produced technology. This led to 2 Department of Defense drone programs: the Blue UAS, Unmanned Aircraft System, and the Replicator Program. It also led to the Drone Infrastructure Inspection Grant Act, which allotted $200 million, half to creating drone infrastructure and half to training people in drones. And it just so happens that in 2023, an agreement was made which established a testing corridor between New Jersey and Delaware to allow safe trials of these new technologies, specifically to see how these could work in real-life scenarios. Okay, so right here we see a map of where all the drones have been spotted. And here is a map of all the military bases in New Jersey. Here's some examples of some of the drones that could be flying over this area. Could have a wingspan of 4 meters, 7 meters, which is about 22 feet. Goes along with some of the claims that people have been making. Now, as we can see, the designated corridor for the drone testing is in South Jersey, so let's explore maybe some of the reasons that we might be seeing them in North Jersey. We see that they've been seen over the Trump National Golf Club in Bedminster, but we know that during his presidency, he spent 104 days at the golf course. And it's already been stated that the Replicator program has a goal to field thousands of drones by August 2025. Okay, so what are these drones doing? One might be testing counter-drone systems, ISR, intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance, AI navigation development. This is why we're seeing it over urban and suburban areas. Okay, so why is the government acting like they don't know what's going on? Well, one, we know the government is so compartmentalized, and the left hand never knows what the right hand is doing, and that federal, local, and military don't communicate with each other at all. We also know that this is companies, private sector behind this, which is being funded by the DoD, which is why they're saying it's not the government. Because technically there's 30 contracts and over 50 subcontracts, including Anduril Industries and General Atomics, as well as Skydio. Now, of course, we know why the media is playing it up. The election is over and they have to keep the lights on, so let's talk about aliens. But the fact that the government continues to deny it could be because they enjoy having an invisible threat. They love to blame the foreign adversaries. But if it was actually a foreign country, they would not be allowed to fly that low. It would justify surveillance, profit from fear, and of course it could be a distraction. There's also been a lot of emphasis on government efficiency coming from Elon Musk. He has endorsed drone warfare over manned fighter jets, saying they're more cost-effective, less human casualty, and the ability to maneuver and accelerate in a way that human pilots could never. So trust me, I want this to be aliens more than you do, okay? But shocker, the government is lying to you once again.
And there's one of two things that could be accomplished with that knowledge and not telling us, the public, okay? Number one, whatever's going on is so bad, you don't want to cause public panic. You want to try and resolve the situation, neutralize it without causing panic in the public, without causing more public distrust in our government's ability to protect us. Okay, so, which there is already a lot. I mean, we've been being invaded for some time. And so there's a lot of distrust there that they're even capable of protecting us. And that's the one thing the government should be able to do, is protect us from foreign adversaries or invasion or attack, right? We are clearly in some sort of way being attacked by these drones because they're not here in a welcoming way. Okay, they're flying, they're deterring. To me, that is adversary. Okay, so they're not here in a positive way, and that's a fact. Okay, so when they say that these things aren't going to hurt us, they're not a threat to us, that's false information, because if they weren't a threat to us, whoever's flying them should feel perfectly comfortable coming out and saying, hey, it's us. Okay? They're bad news bears, in my opinion. Whatever they're doing is bad news bears. So the government either does not want us to know about it out of fear of public reaction, public panic, or they want us to question it. They want us to fear it. They want us to be afraid of the unknown. Now, I know those are two very polar opposite things, but that's the best I can come up with. Unfortunately, neither one of them involves trusting the government. But I mean, come on. You have to admit, like, there are swarms of these things. How could the government possibly not, at this point in time, know what is going on with these drones? They are losing their own credibility with that storyline. They need to change it or come up with something different. So fact, there are drones. Fact, these are extremely large and advanced drones. This is top technology. There are lots of them, well-funded. These drones can evade law enforcement, Coast Guard, radar detection. Fact, our government is failing to protect our national security. That goes beyond a doubt. You know, these drones aren't supposed to be there. They're there in our airspace. They know nothing about it, so they say. So I don't really have answers to this. I wish I did. Am I concerned? Yes, I'm concerned that this entire thing has gone on as long as it has, and we still don't have any answers. That's the part that's concerning to me, because that means either, number one, they really are looking for something out there, and they're not telling us about it, or number two, there's something nefarious going on, and they're concerned that we'll find out about it, or, I mean, there's always, I guess, the possibility of them doing something to us, and then there's, you know, the possibility of this entire thing being staged. Well, why would somebody stage something like it? If we found out that there was some sort of nuclear dirty bomb or something like that, if we found that out down the road, and that's what these things were trying to sniff out, it would put the new incoming administration in a very interesting situation where America is directly under attack. We saw this happen with Bush. When the United States is under attack, the president has to react. They have to respond, especially if it puts the lives of our citizens in direct danger. So, there's that big conspiracy chess game that could be being played, and I don't think that's far-fetched. But there are a lot of different things that could be going on. My only thoughts of this are, let's hold on to the facts. Bring in all of these other theories, because some of them make perfect sense. And they are theories until, they come true. And one of them, I'm sure, is going to come true at some point in time, right? They're all different. They're all very good theories. They're all things that I think, if I were investigating this, I would look into each and every one of those. If I were a local law enforcement, I'd be looking into my own federal government, because of the fact that they told me they have no idea what's going on, and yet that is the one thing that they should be responsible for. How do you, let me give you a job of protecting the people. Okay, you're not going to do it? Well, we're leaving the union. I mean, that's kind of, just saying. I don't know. There's just too many rabbit holes to go down, and too many things to get caught up in. It's very odd. Personally, I'm going to keep my eyes out, and if I see any of these things coming near my property, I'm going to watch it. I'm analyze it, and I'm going to make sure that my family is not outside when these things fly overhead. I don't think that they would have any reason to come here, but who knows? Back in 2020, they picked some pretty remote areas. You know what I mean? So, but like that other guy said, I mean, maybe they were sniffing out some distinct radioactive material. I'm curious of what you guys know about this situation. You can comment down below. I will try and be doing some more videos between now and the end of the year, and I apologize that I've been missing. But you know, like I said, when I put my mind to something, I want to give it my all. I want to do the best I can. And when I promised the other members of our nonprofit that I would do this campaign, I got behind it 100% because that's the way I am, and those people do need help. We've had a lot of requests coming in, and I hope we can find a way to extend our resources to help as many of them as we possibly can. Thank you for those of you who have supported that, and I promise things will get back to normal here.